Detailing do's and don'ts.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And this is the DIY Detail Podcast. Today we're going to go over a fun little list of 7 things you should do and 7 things you shouldn't do when detailing your car.
This is a big one, and it's great for beginners. It's a great refresher for professionals. I always feel like there's stuff that people learn when they listen to this podcast, and Ivan, I want to start with a jumping off point, because a lot of times the more you learn, the more comfortable you get, you start to feel like you know all the answers. And so The first don't, the thing that we want you to think about never to do when washing your car, detailing, don't be closed-minded.
No, a lot of people have this dogmatic attitude of, this is the way it's always been done and this is the way it should be done. No, there's always new things happening. I've been in this industry 45 years and I'm still learning every day. You know, be open-minded. You can learn something. Someone that just started detailing yesterday might be able to teach all of us something new. It's not just because you've been doing it X amount, of years that way that it's the right way. It's not the right way. It's not the wrong way either. There's a lot of different ways of detailing. Just be open-minded and try new stuff once in a while.
You talk to a lot of folks closer to your age, Ivan. Are they into the rinseless wash? Are they still stuck in wax? Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who have washed their car a certain way and they're still thinking wax, and they're still doing things the way that we did in the rotary phone era, right? And we have cell phones, computers in our pockets now. So like, technology and detailing changes. There's a lot of really avid people who are into the latest and greatest, but then there's like the rest of America just going about their business. And I just sort of wonder where the population is at.
I don't think it's a generational thing, actually. I've given classes where I've had 10 people from a 19-year-old to a 70-year-old, and the 70-year-old was more willing to learn and, explore new things than the 19-year-old. So it's not a generational thing. It's just some people have this attitude that I know it all, or this is the way it's always been done, and I'm going to continue doing it this way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's totally true. And we all know folks who are always trying to learn and check out the latest and greatest, and folks who just kind of like to do it the way they like to do it. And you know what? If you got a way that works for you, do what you do. But just know that there may be better things out there that are fun to do. All right. Speaking of a really interesting technology, waterless wash. But there are do's and don'ts with waterless wash. And one big thing is you see all these internet fast-paced, little ads running on your screen. Just use waterless wash, spray on and wipe off. And it's like, we want to let this be very clear. Do not wash a dirty car with waterless wash.
Exactly. And I cringe every time I see those. It's like, the Jeep is just covered in mud and they have this little spray bottle and we're going to wash your whole Jeep with this spray bottle. No, waterless wash has its place. It's a very important tool in any detailer's arsenal, but it is not for washing a dirty car. It is not for... Personally, I wouldn't wash a whole car with it unless I'm at a car show or in a showroom or something like that. But in reality, waterless wash has a lot of great little things you can do with it. You can use it as a drying aid. You can use it just for little touch-ups at the end. You can do a quick interior with it. You can, like I mentioned at a car show, people put their grubby little fingers on your car. Well, that's a great way of getting those finger marks off. You have just a bit of dust, a bit of pollen that's settled on the car. Halfway through the day, you want to take that off. Great. And a bird bomb. Bird bombs. Insects on the front of the vehicle are a great way, or waterless wash is a great way of dealing with those quickly, safely, and easily.
So you get a waterless wash, Ivan, you think, hey, this is all I need. But clearly, that's been communicated.
Yeah.
What if folks start to get nervous? They're like, do this, don't do that. Like, I think one thing we talked about is just don't be afraid when washing your car.
People get afraid of everything, and they see, there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there. There's a lot of people putting out great content, and sometimes you'll have someone saying, don't do this. But in reality, they've seen another content creator doing that exact thing. There's a lot of things that happen, and people get afraid because they see everyone doing it a different way. And now who am I going to follow? Which way am I going to do it? There's no right way to detail a car. There's a lot of really good ways. There might be a few bad ways, but there's no absolute, this is the only way you should be doing it. And that's something I want to get across. Don't be afraid. Don't be that person that just gets stuck because they can't go to that next step. one that we get a lot is, I'm afraid to polish my car. Polishing is something that's easy to do. It's fun. You're not going to burn the paint off the car in 30 seconds. Trust us, we've tried. And it just didn't work. It took a couple hours, actually. We have some videos, and we'll have links in the description below, of us just using a little random orbital sander that you can pick up for 20 bucks, some gold standard polish, one pad, keep the pad clean. So for under $100, you can polish your car. Is it going to be perfect? No. But is it going to be glossy? Is it going to be slick? Is it going to look great? Yes. And you'll get over that fear of polishing.
If you watch this channel, chances are you understand that it can be a little dangerous to take your car through the car wash. Right? So I want to just go ahead and say, don't use the drive-through car wash. That's sort of like, I think you probably know that best practices, there's time and a place. And even I've used the drive-through car wash. And I do want to say, sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm going to feel guilty today. I'm going through the drive-through car wash.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often, but it did. I told people on the podcast recently, I did it. Yeah. Not only did just two of them kind of scratch my paint up, which is, it's crazy to me, like how damaging it is in this car wash, this drive-through, just these brushes, it's just your car is like under attack from these brushes.
Right.
But, I paid $12 for this dang car wash. I expect a dang good, scratching up. Not only did it scratch it up and kind of clean well, but it like missed spots, right? And it's like, yes, I went back over at the end and I sprayed some waterless wash and I got my touch-up spots, and I actually used mist one time as well, which is amazing. Yeah. But it's nice to have the waterless wash. We'll talk about mist again some other time.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that it missed real spots. I'm like, if you're going to scratch my car up, just get everywhere. Just scratch it all up. And it like missed half the door, and it missed, around my license plate in the back. And like, I don't know car washes like that. I joke about going through one. I don't do it very often, right? It's not something I have much experience with. Like, I've hand washed my car for years. I'm a detailer's detailer like you guys are. Yeah. But the fact that it scratched my car up and missed spots, I was just like, man, folks, there's so much joy to be had by hand washing your car and getting into every little detail. And I don't know, just avoid the scratch pads if you can.
Yeah, there are some okay car washes. There's some really bad car washes. Obviously, you went to a really bad one if it scratched your car. Because normally if you have a ceramic coating on it, you can go through a car wash a number of times and it's not going to be that bad. We have a video on our channel where I took a little Fiat through 74 car washes in about 3 to 4 months. And it was just a very, very, arduous process. But the car held up, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Now, by the time you waited in line, paid, went through the car wash, and did your cleanup, you could have washed it at home.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're totally right. And it's just, part of it is not having a garage, not having a pressure washer, knowing how to rinseless wash as well as anybody out there, but at the same time thinking like, I could make this a little, I'll go just make it. Yeah, I did it when my kid was at a thing. It was just, there was a convenience to it, right? But, I know what you mean. I didn't feel good about it. My car didn't love me for it. One thing I'm wondering is, because it's Subaru and it's soft paint, it is ceramic coated, but could the car scratch up more because Subaru has soft paint, even with the coating? Because I know the coating is what's on top, but the brushes are so harsh. I'm just kind of curious what's happening there, because the Fiat, I don't feel like it was the softest paint.
No, it was a good hard paint. And your Subaru has 1 micron of coating over 100 microns of paint. So that 1 micron of coating is not going to affect the hardness of the paint.
So, Ivan, if you're smart, don't do what I did. You wash your car at home. Yeah. Don't overuse your products, because that's something that I kind of jokingly do on our channel quite a bit, is, the glug method, or I'll do 5 sprays instead of 1. But what's the whole philosophy behind don't overuse your products?
The products are designed to work at a specific way. And an example, our rinseless wash, dilution ratio 256:1 or 4 milliliters to a liter. Very simple to understand. And that dilution ratio carries across everything that rinseless wash does. But there's some people that's like, well, 256:1 is good, 128:1 must be better. It's not. You've experienced it. You've tried it. You saw what happened. You got streaking. It just made it harder to dry. It's just not fun. You won't get a great experience, and it won't clean any better. And that's what people need to understand is more is not always better. Now, more money in your bank account, sure, that's better. But more ceramic gloss on the surface that you have to dry away, maybe not the best thing. So there's a lot of things in detailing that people generally overuse. Soap is one of them. You know, the glug, 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 glug method, right? I've seen you do it, and it just makes the car harder to rinse off. If you have too much soap in your foam cannon, it's not going to rinse very easily. If you have too much soap in your bucket, same thing, and you're not getting any better results. You're just wasting money and probably your time as well.
So, and I agree with you. I just will say it is fun to look at the foam.
Yeah.
So do that if you want to, folks. If you're going to use the product, use it. But how many? I mean, just an ounce in the wash bucket, right? That's all we recommend for Incredible Suds. Let's set the record straight once and for all on dilution ratios for Incredible Suds.
I like half an ounce in my bucket. That's all I need. And then what I'll do is have half an ounce in the bucket, and then if there's anything left in the foam cannon, just empty it into the bucket.
That's it.
If that's my last wash of the day or my only wash of the day, I'll just point the foam cannon at the bucket and away it goes. Incredible Suds is an extremely concentrated product, and you don't need a lot of it. But we have a lot of things like that. You know, if you overuse tire dressing, be it ours or anyone else's, what's going to happen? You're going to get sling on the side of the car because the rubber can only absorb so much. Your tire can only take so much, and then it's just excess on there. So there's a lot of things that overusing is not good.
Although if you want to use a lot of tire lotion, we recommend doing your tires the first time, then letting them rest a little bit, and then if you want to do a second layer, but don't try to slop it all on at once.
Exactly. You know, it's like the person that you're walking in front of them going into a shopping mall or something, and it's as if they swam in their cologne or perfume, and it just invades everyone. You walk into a store and there's, that clerk that just has way, way, way too much smell good stuff on them, and it ends up smelling bad. And it's the same thing with car care. You can have too much of a good thing.
Any other products that people could overuse to their detriment? I'm thinking like rinseless wash can give you streaks on windows if you use too much rinseless with water. So that's another reason why you don't want to overuse rinseless.
Another one is ceramic coating. If you put it on too thick, you're going to experience phantom high spots. Phantom high spots are not fun because you think you've got the coating perfectly laid out. It's beautiful. And then you come back a half hour later and you've got high spots. And you come back an hour later and you got high spots again. That's because you put it on way too thick. It's not a good thing. Especially with our ceramic coatings, they're designed to be put on very thin. More is not better. It's just giving you more work.
Yeah, and you'll experience phantom high spots if you decide to ignore Yvan's advice, and it could be at your own peril, and you might see these high spots that make no sense because you definitely level them. And if it happens to you, just remember our words of warning, and if it doesn't happen to you, then you did a good job.
Good. Yeah.
You did a good job. So don't overuse your product. This is something I'm guilty of as well, is don't overthink, Yvan.
Yeah, and we have this wonderful Facebook group, and it's look up DIY Detail on Facebook. You'll find it. There's 51,000 people as of this recording. It's just a great, fun group. But you have people that ask questions, and we love every question. We answer as many questions as we can, and a lot of the people in the group will answer the questions, and we'll give them a thumbs up because it was the right answer. But that being said, there's people that just overthink the process to the point of stalling and just can't move forward, or they're overthinking it so much that they're causing themselves to turn a 1-hour detail into a 2-day detail. And that's something that's dangerous for people. And it takes the fun out of detailing. Detailing should be fun. In the end, we're just washing cars. So it's not rocket science. We're not curing cancer here. We're just making our cars look better. And one of the things with overthinking is people just come up with these things that are, to me, nonsensical. It's like, well, if I'm going to put a sealant on after I've washed my car, do I need to use panel prep? No, that's overthinking it. Now, if you're putting,
but it'll make the sealant last longer though if you would use panel prep.
Yeah, maybe an hour or two.
Yeah, but that's important.
Yeah, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Your sealant's going to last 6 months or 6 months and 2 hours. It's not. Well, it's like difference.
And there were days when you had to put sealant or a wax on, a soft foam pad and apply it by machine after a wash. Now, the sealant's like ceramic gloss we're talking about. It's just so easy to use. Don't worry about it and use it after every wash. Like there's not any issue with overusing it in terms of, we talked about not using too much product, but can I use ceramic gloss after every wash? The answer is yes.
Yes, exactly. So don't overthink it. Another thing of overthinking is, okay, but after I've washed, I've decontaminated, I've done all of this, I need to use panel prep before polishing. And panel prep is the one that I'm focusing on because people tend to overuse it because it's like, between every step, I'm going to use panel prep. No, you don't need to. Use panel prep right before the coating. You're good. Now, if you're using a polish that you're not sure of, that it might have some oils, use all clean between the polishing step and the panel prep step. And if it goes backwards, you know that your polish had fillers instead of actually polishing.
Wait, in what order do you recommend doing that?
So you've polished the vehicle, you wiped off the polish residue using a rinseless wash, dry towel. Then if you're not sure of your polish, so if you're not using the gold standard, there are some polishes out there that have a great, shall we say, filling ability. And they may not advertise it, but they have solvents and they have oils that are not necessarily taken away by panel prep. And they're not taken away by the rinseless wash. So if you're not sure of the polish you're using, put a bit of all clean on the surface, let it dwell for a minute or two, don't let it dry, and then just take it, wipe it off clean, and you'll see if it's done something to the paint, so it's changed the look of the paint, then at that point, you need to do all clean over the whole surface before doing panel prep and the coating. If it didn't change a thing, you're good. Your polish gave you the actual work that you need to do. But
so all clean 15-to-1 can be a truth serum, sprayed on, let it dwell, don't let it dry, wipe off with just a dry towel, and then examine the paint, and then you're going to use panel prep?
Yeah. And, there's other things like I've seen people, our rinseless wash leaves absolutely nothing on the surface. But there are some rinseless washes out there that have polymers that just leave a little stuff behind. It's not like you're putting a coating or a wax on the car. It's just a few polymers that are left behind.
Right.
And you'll have people that, I can't use that before I polish because it's going to interfere with my ceramic coating. Your polish is going to remove those few little polymers that were left behind. Or I might have a bit of residue from ceramic gloss that I put on 3 months ago. Don't overthink it. Polish, you'll be fine. So when you're thinking too much and trying to elaborate the process to make it longer and more, and you're adding more and more and more and more steps, sit back, relax, take a look at those steps, and are they really logical? Use your logic. And that's one thing that a lot of detailers, unfortunately, they get caught up in the hype, and I'm using this product and that product and that product. I was at Pan's yesterday, and Pan was showing me this new product he's testing. It's not on the market yet, but it's a 4-step soap system. So you're foaming 4 different things on the car before you do the contact wash. It's a little exaggerated. But for the overthinker in us, it's like, oh, this is wonderful. So don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Have fun detailing.
Which is why I think our system is the antidote to that, which is just don't overthink it, right? Like,
no.
Do you need the, salt neutralizing wash and the this and the that? It's like, there is a time and a place for that. Like, we have water spot remover. If you're worried about salt deposits and neutralizing those along the wash process. But, all clean can do a great job as well, in terms of a pre-treat. But for the most part, just pre-treat with your chemical of choice. Rinseless wash or Incredible Suds. Just make sure you flush the paint after if you can. Treat the paint again with your chemical and do your contact wash. So foam, rinse, foam, chemical, rinse, chemical. For 90% of the job, that's all you need. If you want to go deep down the rabbit hole for a decon, there's videos we have for that will get the job done. But man, Ivan, there's a product for everything, isn't there?
There is. And, one of the things that I always find interesting is there's a product for everything, but sometimes they're They're almost like some companies are very much like a pharmaceutical manufacturer. So you've heard the ad for pharmaceuticals. It's like,
Sure.
do you breathe? Do you walk upright? Do you go to sleep at night? You might be a human being. If you are, we have a pill for you. And it's almost to that point in the detailing industry. So there's some companies that just feed the overthinkers. It's like, oh, they're going to overthink this. Let's add another step for them. And that's another chemical. You know, the best example I have of that is All Clean. Do we have a tire cleaner? Yes, we do. It's All Clean. Do we have a wheel cleaner? Yes, we do. It's All Clean. Do we have an interior cleaner? Well, actually, we have 3 of them. But if you have a really bad stain, it's All Clean. Do we have a salt remover for carpets? We do. It's All Clean. It's called an all-purpose cleaner for a reason. Do we have a bug remover? Yes, we have All Clean. It's an all-purpose cleaner. And some people are taking all-purpose cleaners, relabeling them, changing the color and the fragrance in it. But if you read the SDS and you actually look at it closely, you can use a bug remover on wheels and tires, and it does just as good a job as the wheel and tire cleaner, just like you can use the wheel and tire cleaner on the front end to get the bugs, and it works just as well. It works just like an all-purpose cleaner. It's because most of the time it is an all-purpose cleaner. So we've kept our system simple. We don't have a tire cleaner. We don't have a wheel cleaner. We don't have a bug remover. We don't have... It's all-purpose cleaner. It's all clean. You dilute it 15 to 1. I mean, a gallon goes a very, very long way. It does a great job, and it's safe on just about anything.
And the longer you detail, the more comfortable you are using All Clean for all those different things. I think when you first start out, you're looking for a dedicated product for bugs. You're looking for a dedicated product to clean your floor mats. You're looking for a dedicated salt product. Having been that newbie, you're very easy to get marketed to. And folks who have just bought a new car or new to them or whatever, you know, they want to protect it with all the best stuff. They may be willing to buy a special product for each thing thinking, well, if it costs more, it's probably better. Or if it's labeled like this, it's probably better than just a general cleaner. And it's like, once you've been in the game long enough, you realize like it's all marketing. So hopefully this is helpful for folks. 1 gallon of All Clean, it'll do you well for a long time.
Exactly.
For a long, long time. Don't let your ego get the best of you. That's the last one, is just your ego can play tricks on your head. You can go for perfect paint, and that can be a real problem for you, your family, your pocketbook, you know, your mental health. Like, it's just a car, and there's no such thing as perfect paint.
Right. We're not curing cancer here. We're not revamping the world order. We're cleaning cars. And you know, a lot of detailers, and I've heard this for 40 years now, it's got my name on it. First of all, unless your name is Louis Chevrolet or Henry Ford, your name's not on it. Or you're a Dodge brother, trust me, your name's not on it. But they overthink it so much, and their ego is so strong that it's like, I'm going to do this. It's my reputation that's on every car when it leaves here. Your customer is going to go through the car wash in a week. The work that you spent 28 hours polishing on a car, you've done more damage to the car than you've done good. Now, the paint looks spectacular. You have eliminated every scratch. And I don't say removed every scratch, because we're never removing a scratch. We're removing the clear coat around the scratch down to the level of the scratch. And that's something that a lot of people don't, you know, they know it, but they don't think about it. And when you're looking at it logically, you're removing so much paint to get that scratch out. And does the customer need to have that scratch removed? Do you need to have the scratch removed on your car? Now, if it's a weekend car that sits in the garage 6 days a week, you take it to Cars and Coffee, yeah, you might want to go the extra mile. But if it's a daily driver, you want to keep that orange peel there. You don't want to worry too much about the scratches, because driving down the highway is going to scratch your paint. There's a lot of things that are going to attack your paint. Protect it the best you can. Do what you can. Be safe when you're cleaning it. But no, your name is not on the car. And this applies more to professional detailers. But as a professional detailer, your ego gets in the way a lot of times. I've heard detailers say, I'm not going to put a ceramic coating on that car because they don't want me to perfect the paint first. Or they're just silly. Yeah, or it's a mommy wagon and I'm not going to put a ceramic coating on that because they're just going to abuse it. That mommy wagon is probably the one that needs the ceramic coating the most, because it's the one that's not going to get lovingly hand washed every week. It's the one that's not going to be sitting in the garage 6 days a week or, 29 days a month. It's the one that gets driven. It's the one that might go through a car wash. It's the one that gets the bird bombs on it. It's the one that gets the bugs caked on the front and they sit there for 2 months or 2 weeks. That is the one that needs a coating. But literally, I've had detailers that their ego is so big that I'm not going to put a coating on that car because it's my reputation on that car. It's not your reputation. You're just doing what the customer asked for. Do it, get paid. They're happy. You're happy. Move on. And you've actually protected a car. So ego is a big thing. But before we go on to the 7 do's, one thing we'd like you to do is subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave comments. We love responding to your comments. We respond to roughly about 4,000 comments a month now. So we get a lot of comments and we love the comments. And if you read the comments in our comment section below this video, go back to some older videos, you'll see that most of the comments are very positive, and they're people that are exchanging. They have good ideas. They see a video and they'll leave us a tip, not a tip monetarily, but hey, I do it this way. And sometimes it's a great thing. Or, hey, I have an idea for a video. And we've taken those ideas for video and made videos with them. This video is one of those. So leave those comments, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started out with, don't be closed-minded. One thing I thought of, what's the flip side of the coin of each of these? And, using rinseless wash is kind of a more advanced technology. That's something that I would recommend to anybody who's detailing their car. It's not some kind of weird car wash method in the future. It's now. It works great. It doesn't mean never use a hose. It does mean you don't have to rinse after your contact wash, so you are saving one tangible step. That final hose down that leaves drips everywhere. Yeah, you're going to get drips if you involve a hose after you initially pre-treat and then rinse and then pre-treat again in contact wash. But I don't know how much time you think people roughly save by avoiding that hose after the contact wash, Yvan. I don't know if you've done the research
be 5
on
minutes.
this.
It could be an hour. Depending on, how long does it take them to bring out their hose, their pressure washer, and get all that set up to do the foam cannon. Rinseless wash has existed for 30 years, as far as I know. Maybe before that. It's not a new technology. It's not a new thing. But rinseless washing is a technique. You learn to do a rinseless wash. And a lot of people confuse rinseless with waterless, and we talked about waterless here. But basically, don't be so set in your ways that you're afraid to try something. And rinseless wash is one of those. And we see it all over the internet. People going, I'll never use a rinseless wash. And then 6 months later, that same person has a post, wow, I just tried rinseless wash. What a game changer. Or I tried it and I didn't like it. Well, you tried it because you were trying to use it like a soap. It's not a soap. There are subtle differences. Rinseless washing is a technique more than it is a product. So learn how to use it. It's something that's going to save you time, make your life easier, and you'll get better results a lot of the time. So stay open-minded.
And then we talked about don't use waterless wash on a dirty car. Just use safe practices. So the flip side of that coin is you could use waterless wash, but please don't use it on a dirty car, right? So again, that whole foam rinse foam, chemical rinse chemical, contact wash, you could use any chemical at that point if you've pre-treated it and then rinsed it, pre-treat it again with something that's going to emulsify, add lubrication. I guess you could use waterless wash after if you foamed with something else. You could pre-treat with waterless, then rinse it, pre-treat with waterless, and technically you could do a waterless wash then, I guess. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just use safe practices. Don't just use waterless on a dirty car.
Right. And the other thing is the hose still has its place in detailing. It's not going away anytime soon. And a lot of people, back to the rinseless thing, but in a sense, they say, well, the car's too dirty for rinseless. No, use your hose. If your car is too dirty for rinseless, it's too dirty for soap. But what do you do with soap? You're going to pre-treat it, you're going to rinse it, and then you're going to soap it again, then you're going to use a wash mitt. If you wouldn't take your soapy wash mitt to a surface before doing something else to it before, you're not going to take your rinseless wash sponge to that surface either. So it's the same thing. Waterless does not mean no water. or sorry, rinseless does not mean no water. There is water in waterless as well, so technically it's not waterless, but rinseless does not mean no hose. It isn't hoseless. It isn't pressure washerless. It's just you don't rinse it at the end. And we like to say rinse less, not rinseless. So rinsing less. But nonetheless, keep an open mind. And yes, your hose is still your friend. Your hose is still necessary a lot of the time.
The flip side of don't be afraid, Ivan, is that, you can do this. You can wash your car. It's not rocket science. You can even polish your car. We have a system that you can do this for under $100. You teach people not to be afraid of polishing their car all the time, but certainly some folks can really feel trepidation around if they've never done it before.
Right. So do go out there and polish your car. Just get a small random orbital sander. Get the gold standard polishing system. You'll have fun. You'll enjoy it, and you'll get great results. And another thing that in our industry that people are a little afraid of is the rotary polisher. They think that 10 seconds with a rotary polisher in there, their paint is just gone from the vehicle. That's not the way it is. The rotary is a very safe tool. So if you're a professional detailer, get the rotary out of the mothballs. Try it again. It's a very pertinent tool. So do use those tools. Do enjoy it and do polish your vehicle. Now, don't over polish your vehicle. Don't polish it every week, but once a year or before putting a coating on, or you have a new car. We just did a new car today that had 400 kilometers on it, so about 250 miles. It looked like it went through a dust storm and then a car wash and then a dust storm and then a car wash again and again and again. It was just horrendous. So we needed to polish that car. So don't be afraid to polish. Even if you're a beginner, you can polish.
And speaking of the comments we get, so many people feel so empowered by our polishing system, and they've polished their vehicle for the first time. They send us photos. The car looks stunning. They feel so empowered and proud of what they've been able to do with their hands. And that's the thing about detailing. If you know, but it feels like a superpower when you learn it, because it really does feel like you've learned a craft. And it's so easy. It's so doable. It's like the barrier of entry is so low that like anybody can try it. And that's the knock on detailing if you're a professional, right? Is that like people are coming in all the time, and I'm a pro, but the same reason you were able to get in is because it's so easy to get. It's so doable for the DIY or the enthusiast. That's why so many people have responded to us, Ivan. Is like, you've given them that courage to try it themselves, and the truth is, it's so doable.
Right, and for the professional, don't be afraid of the do-it-yourselfer. That do-it-yourselfer that's doing it themselves in their garage or their driveway at home would have never been your customer anyways. So it's not taking away from your customer base. It's just people getting into the detailing industry, habit, whatever. And at some point they're going to go, no, I need a professional for this. I had a customer that washed his car literally every time he left his house. He could have gone home for lunch for half an hour, and for him, his OCD was so strong, he had to wash his car. That gentleman still brought his car to us once a month to wash his car for him because apparently we did a better job. We didn't. He did a great job. But in his mind, we did a better job. So once a month, he would bring his car to us to wash. He used the same products we did because we're the ones that sold him the products. So he was using the same products, the same techniques, but to him, so he was still using a professional detailer to wash his car, even though he was really, really good and efficient at it.
So what's the flip side then of the don't overthink? Because that was one of the don'ts, is don't overthink. Yeah.
We don't really have a flip side to that. But basically when you're not overthinking is just go for it. Have fun. Having fun, I think, is probably the biggest flip side to that. Detailing should not be a chore. Detailing should not be difficult. Detailing should not be stressful. Detailing for many people is a stress relief. Detailing is just a way of unwinding. Washing your car Saturday morning is so much fun. When I was a kid growing up, I would see the dads out there. Unfortunately, it was just the dads back then because, things have changed, have evolved. But there was one of the parents out there washing the car Saturday morning. And you could go down a street, and if there's 20 homes on the street, at some point on that Saturday, there would have been 10 or 15 of them that washed the car. And it's just, they had fun at it. And it was how I learned and how I got the fun of washing the car was washing my parents' car in the driveway with my father. It was just something we did, and it was fun. So detailing, don't overthink it. It is fun. It should be simple. It should be easy. If it feels like you're working, you're doing something wrong.
Well, and I shudder to think of what the car wash practices were back then. But one of our don'ts was, don't go to the car wash. And I wrote down a little note of like the flip side of that would be use safe practices and quality products, which we have now. I don't think they were as in abundant of supply kind of when you were growing up, that image of all the dads washing their car probably with God knows what, but
dish soap at the time,
dish soap,
Now, my father bought a new car every year, so he was very meticulous, and we used actual car wash chemicals. But we also dried it with a leather chamois, so that negated all the rest of that. But at the time, that was the highest technology. That was what everyone was using. That was the best thing. And when I got into detailing, at one point we were using cotton diapers, and then we used terry towel, and we used silicone squeegee blades. There's a lot of things that have evolved over the years, and using quality products is one of them. There's so many good quality products on the market. Of course, we're going to say use DIY, but there's a lot of really good companies out there making really good products. You can't go wrong. And with the internet, it's done one thing, and that is there's so many people reviewing products and trying products that you can go and look at the internet and go, okay, is this actually a good product? No one can afford to put out a bad product anymore, because if they do, they're going to get lambasted on social media, on YouTube, on Reddit, on all these places that they're just going to, whittle away in their corner and disappear for a little while. So yes, some companies make mistakes. They put out a product too soon. We've seen it in this last year, and some of the companies have come back in a force it's like, hey, we know we screwed up. Here's how we're going to fix it. Other companies just, like I say, just whittle away. But use quality products. Go to Google, go to YouTube, go to Reddit, whatever, Facebook, and find where people are working, what they're using, and what they're enjoying.
So funny. I think of how many times I haven't read the instructions when I'm detailing. But the other side of don't overuse your products is just follow instructions, right? Like we have designed these products as we design them for a reason. Now there's times that we get the labels wrong, or we make a print of the labels and they go out and then we get, okay, early on with Incredible Suds, it's, 4 ounces in your foam can. Okay, no. 1 ounce is all you need, right? So we'll correct it on social media if we make a mistake on the label. But really, follow instructions. They're there for a reason.
Right. They're there for a reason. An example, rinseless wash. We mentioned it before, using the proper dilution. All clean. I've seen people diluting all clean at 5-to-1 to get bugs off the front of the vehicle, because that's what their previous stuff was a dilution of 3-to-1 or 5-to-1. And they
can't get it out of their head. Yeah, they can't reprogram themselves. They cannot possibly believe that 15-to-1 is going to be strong enough.
Right. Until they try it. And then they go, ooh, I should have followed instructions. I wasted half a gallon. So follow the instructions. Another thing is we've actually metered our products to our sprayers. And our sprayers are a little different in this industry. Most companies have a sprayer that puts out 1.6 to 2 milliliters per spray. Ours puts out 1.1 milliliters. That's a lot less. So if you put someone else's sprayer on our bottle, or you buy a gallon of our product and you put it in a generic bottle, you're overusing the product whether you want to or not.
I just can't believe people sell products with bad triggers. Like triggers, I can't. Like I have some sitting around in my garage, not in my garage, but in my unit, and I'll just every once in a while I'll just play with them. And this sprayer is so bad, like it hurts my wrist to use. I'm like, why not just have a quality sprayer with your product?
Right. We know that Tulco sprayers are known in the industry as the best, and that's what we use. Sure, they're a little more expensive. Not a big deal. They're going to last. They're going to do the work they're doing. And for us, we've purchased the Tulco sprayers, and we've metered our products to that 1.1 milliliter. Now, Tulco makes some 1.6. They make some 2.2s. They make all sorts of different ones. For the ones we use, it's 1.1 milliliter. So stick with that. And, one big example that I have of following instructions is our iron remover. Iron remover, we teach you to use it with a perforated synthetic decontamination towel as the towel or as the clay towel lubricant, but at the same time, we're decontaminating. We've done a test. We've shown it, and other companies have shown it as well, that using it with the towel, not just spraying it on and waiting, seeing those beautiful little red streaks and then hosing it off, it really does a lot less than the way we teach. But the other thing is, iron remover is one of the most expensive products that we have other than ceramic coatings. So on average, an iron remover, be it ours, someone else's, if you're buying it by the gallon, it's about $1 an ounce. And some of the ways that people use iron remover is they just spray it all over the car. And they'll use 8 to 10 ounces on a car. That means every time they decontaminate a car, it's costing them $8 to $10. The way we teach it, you're using 1 ounce, actually less than 1 ounce most of the time. So you're using, let's say, for sake of argument, $1 worth of product. That's a $7 savings every time you use the product by following the instructions.
The opposite of don't let the ego get the best of you, Yvan, for our final do.
Yep.
I think that's probably accepting reality is, being okay with things as they are, knowing you can make a lot of transformation and change with detailing, but that, if there's a nasty stain that you can't get out, it's not your fault. If there's a nasty scratch that's not coming out, it's not worth going after. No. What is your take on, the opposite of, ego is the enemy, which is a term in a recent book I read.
So yeah, ego definitely is the enemy, and it's accepting what we can and can't do. And as a professional detailer, I'll address the professionals in the room first.
Yep.
As a professional detailer, it's not your fault the customer got the car that scratched up. It's not your fault they spilled Kool-Aid on the seat and left it for 3 years. Something that is your fault, if you let your ego get the best of you and you burn through the paint, that's your fault. And that's your problem as a professional detailer. Now, as a hobbyist, it's not your fault either. You may have bought a used car that's all scratched up. You're going to make it look better. But if you go after every little scratch and every little thing on it, you're going to wear that paint away eventually. That is something that we need to be cognizant of. It's something that we can't go backwards in time. Nick, you love doing interiors, right?
I love them. I love doing interiors when I'm not working in someone else's shop and I'm just doing them for me, right? If I have 24 hours to do the car, and I'm not there to worry about being profitable. If I have all the time in the world and I have the tools, like really good air compressor, high-powered vacuum, tunes in my speakers, nothing else to do, then I love interiors because I stress out if I have to do them as fast as you do them, Yvan. I like doing them not for any professional, I love interiors for the passion of just doing the job as well as I can possibly do. That's when I love interiors. So it's a very, very conditional situation, but that's when I love interiors.
But you've gone to carpet cleaning school.
Yep.
And even at carpet cleaning school, they will explain to you that there's some stains that just aren't coming out.
Yeah, and also, if the customer can't see it, it's not there, is what he said. So really, you're just trying to get that top fabric looking good, all that stuff under the seat. You can't possibly extract out all the crap. So you're just trying to get that top layer looking good. And so it's yeah, exactly. There's some stains that aren't going to move. They do go down the rabbit hole of those red stains, and you can use the iron and the terry cloth and the two-part,
Yeah,
I tried that stuff and never had success. And I'm not about to go spend more money with, to spotter training. So it's not worth it. There's some things that just let the carpet cleaners become the professional spotters and everything. It's I'd love to have superpowers like that, but if it's red, I think it's pretty much leave it be. You could try anything if you got a steamer, if you want to use an all-purpose cleaner, but if it's red, it's just game over to me. If it's not coming out, you try, but if it doesn't move, don't sit there for 20 minutes on it.
No, by trying so much, you're actually doing more damage sometimes. Yeah. And that's something that you have to be cognizant of is trying too hard and, trying to win the day. Sometimes it's not your fault and it's not your thing to deal with. Another example is a vehicle that's full of mold. That is not a detailer's job. There are a lot of things that are not detailing. And detailers try to take it on. The clear coat is failing on a vehicle. I'm going to polish it to bring it back. No, when you're polishing failing clear coat, you're just damaging it more, but making it look good temporarily. So there's a lot of things that we do in detailing that we overstep our bounds. And then those are the ones that become the stories that the detailers go, oh, that one time I spent like 18 hours on this interior, and the customer at the end was like, yeah, it's okay. And they went over and above and beyond, more than the customer was expecting, more than the customer wanted, and didn't actually get anything out of it.
Been there, done that, Yvan. I hope these do's and don'ts were helpful for folks. I feel like I learned a few things, and we always get into different discussions about detailing that I think you never know what you're going to learn from Yvan, is what I'll say when you get into a chat about detailing.
Well, you never know who you're going to learn from and what you're going to learn. That's the beauty about detailing. I've been doing it for 45 years, and I learn every day. And that is something that's great. I'm going to be doing a training the next couple of days, and I have some people that this is their first time detailing, and I have other people who have been doing it for 20 years, and I'm sure I'll learn from everyone in the class. So it's something that's a lot of fun. Detailing is continuing education constantly. It's always evolving, it's always changing, it's always growing, it's always getting better. And speaking of getting better, I think there's a video where we made something a little better.
We made it way better, and if you want to know what it is we made better and how, go to this video right here.